Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
Okay.
Rob Flick, one of my favorite people in the world. I am so happy that you're part of the Mike Litton Experience. Thank you for being here. Like we talked about, Rob, everybody has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. I'm so happy that you're on this podcast because I know you have an amazing story that's going to inspire and motivate a ton of people that hear it. So let's start with your permission from the very beginning. Where were you born?
Long Island, Levittown.
Long Island, New York?
Yes.
Okay. Did you grow up in Long Island?
Until I was 7. My parents moved to Arizona when I was 7.
What made them move to Arizona?
I think my dad said he wanted to get away from the snow and the zip guns.
There you go. That did it.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Arizona?
In Arizona, yeah. Tempe, Scottsdale
Okay.
area of Arizona. It was really a small, undeveloped area at the time.
Yeah.
And but it was really a wonderful place to grow up.
Awesome. Awesome. So let me ask you this. What was your favorite thing about growing up in the Tempe, Scottsdale area?
We could play sports all year round. The weather was always sunny. It was sunny like 340 days a year. There was lots of kids. There was lots of kids my age. There was lots of school activities, sports activities. We had every sporting event you can imagine. We had lakes, mountains, rivers, skiing, snow skiing, water skiing. I mean, just virtually everything you could possibly think of. For me, it was very idyllic. I didn't know that I grew up with relatively little. It was just a really happy time.
Gotcha. So what sports did you play?
Oh, wow. Football, baseball, wrestling, and track.
So pretty much everything.
Well, except basketball. I got stuffed in my face all the time by the tall guys.
I gotcha. So what was your favorite sport growing up?
Probably football.
Okay. So you grow up, you go to middle school and high school. Where did you go to high school in Tempe, Scottsdale area?
I went to Coronado High School.
Okay.
In Scottsdale.
And you to this day have a charity that you actually support Coronado High School, correct?
We do, yeah. We donated $1 million worth of stock of EXP stock to Coronado High School for scholarships for the bottom 20% of the class, so they could go to trade schools and not have to work, minimum wage jobs, that kind of thing, for not moving forward through college or higher education, and to let them know that there is so many things that they can do that you can make a significant income to support themselves and their families in the future. And I had such a great time in high school. I would do it again in a second. I would do it over and over again. I'd be very happy to be Groundhog Day. Some people didn't like their high school time. I absolutely loved it, and I wanted to be able to give back. And I've talked about this quite a bit. I read an article in a newspaper, the local newspaper, that said that there was a foundation and they were, providing scholarships. And so I called them up to find out how many scholarships and what they were doing. And they had been, for the last 7 or 8 years, they had been awarding 1 or 2 scholarships a year. And I thought, wow, I've been blessed so much by what's happened in my life. I said, we can up that a lot. So our goal is 1,000 kids going to school over the next 10 years, 100 a year.
Wow.
And our first year we had 24 scholarships. Last year we had 42 kids get scholarships. And this year I think we're going to be 75 or 80, and we're looking at being able to hit our goal of 100 kids a year into trade schools and junior college.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thanks. Well, it's very heartwarming. I told them I would do this if and only if they had an annual banquet where they brought in the parents and we honored the parents for helping the kids and get the kids to tell their story and what they want to do and where they want to be. And it's I mean, there isn't a dry eye in the house when the parents tell their story a little bit and the kids tell their story. And it takes a couple hours to work through everybody, but I will tell you, there is so much hugging and crying and love floating around the room that I mean, that's what to me makes everything all worthwhile, when all of a sudden these people have a shot at something they never dreamed would be able to happen. But and they're putting in the effort, of course, but to be able to open doors like that for them is very, very satisfying.
That's fulfilling. That's awesome, man.
It is, yeah.
That's awesome. So after high school, your favorite time, right? After high school, where'd you go?
I went to the Naval Academy at Annapolis.
Okay. So why the Naval Academy? Why did you choose that?
I was recruited to play football there.
There you go.
And they romanced us. Here we are, 17 and 18-year-old kids being told we're going to run the nation. Congress is right here. They run us by the White House. They show us, they said, you stay long enough and work. This is where the seat of the power is. And, and so they wined and dined us, besides playing that we could, play sports and athletics, and they showed us the place. And for a 17-year-old who'd never really been much out of Arizona too much, although I was an exchange student to France during some high school period.
Yeah.
And it just looked exciting and fresh. And I wanted to fly airplanes, and I wanted to drive ships, and I wanted to, just kind of travel and see the world.
Sure.
And if they'd pay me at the same time, so much the better.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's cool, man. I didn't realize that I didn't realize they did that in terms of recruiting, the sort of the starry-eyed thing. That is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So you go to Annapolis and you're there 4 years?
Yes.
Played football. What position did you play?
I was a running back.
Awesome. So what was your favorite thing about your time at Annapolis?
Great question. The biggest thing that I think I learned at Annapolis was that anything I put my mind to, I could do. There was nothing they could throw at us that we couldn't overcome. And they really did everything they possibly could to try and get us to quit. Yeah. And many, many people quit. I think we went in with 1,400 freshmen, or we call them plebes. And I think we only graduated a little over 400. So we had quite a few of them, drop out along the way. And they just made it very, very difficult, not just the school and the sports, but, the hazing. Everyone's heard all the stories, and they really did everything they possibly could to put as much pressure on you as possible. And it really was to be able to get you ready so that if and when you were in a wartime situation and where life or death decisions had to be made, you wouldn't fall apart if you've got pressure coming from 10 or 15 different areas.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
So the biggest thing was if I decided that I wanted to do something, it pretty much would, happen. There was never anything we figured, and we learned that it was never anything that we couldn't solve if we worked together. And I learned team building and getting people that had the right talents to do the right portion of the problem, whatever it happened to be. And I found there were a lot of people a lot smarter than me and better at me at different things, but I was really good at team building, at getting the people to be able to work together and identifying the talents of the people that would be the best at that particular time.
So it prepared you for a successful life. That's awesome.
It did, yeah.
So after Annapolis, where'd you go?
Then I went kind of all over the world. I flew airplanes. I drove the aircraft carrier, the Enterprise. I got to see a lot of the world. I also was on the U.S. rugby team and the Navy rugby team, and we played many continents, countries, Australia, New Zealand, Asia. I really got to see parts of the world I never would have imagined to be able to see. And of course, it just whetted my appetite for more travel in the future.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What a great way so how long were you in the Navy?
About 7 years after graduating, 4 years at school and 7 years, so about 11 years.
11 years altogether. So
Yeah.
you get out of the Navy. What precipitates you to get out of the Navy?
That's a great question. I didn't want to be away for so long. It was when you're in the Navy, you're gone many times for 7 or 8 or 9 months at a stretch.
Right.
And I didn't know that I wanted. It was fun while I was single. It was fun while I was young, but I didn't think that I wanted to do that lifestyle my whole life.
Right.
So I started looking around for what people could do, and I got started in the real estate world.
Why real estate?
I couldn't get hired doing anything else.
I find that hard to imagine knowing you.
It's true. I kept trying to apply for jobs, and no one would. When I got out of the service, I was running out of money. I had to have something, and Coldwell Banker took me, and just barely took me, because they said they weren't going to. They were interviewing. I was interviewing, and this is in the commercial side.
Okay.
And I had interviews. They gave me an exam, and then I'm about to interview someone else, and I thought I was going to be the welcome aboard. We're going to embrace you. Come on board. But the conversation didn't sound like a welcome aboard conversation. It sounded more like nice talking to you. Good luck somewhere.
Right.
And I stopped him. I remember saying, "Whoa, stop!" I said, "This doesn't sound like you're about to welcome me aboard. What's up?"
Right.
And the guy said, "Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but you scored the lowest anyone has ever scored on our entrance test."
No.
And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you got a 0. You didn't get one question right. You didn't even guess right." And so,
oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. And I said, "Well, you got to understand, I was, flying around blowing things up, and it's not, I didn't learn anything about real estate. Things you asked me about, I had nothing." I said, "You know what? This is a golden opportunity for you."
Right.
I said, I do have some skills. I'm good working with people. I've been trained highly, and I have no bad habits as far as real estate is concerned.
Right.
You can form the perfect warrior if you want."
Exactly. They got nothing to train out of you, right?
Right. And of course, he stopped, and he said, "Just a second." And he went into another room. I could hear him talking. Don't know what he said, but I could hear him talking to someone else. And he came back and says, "Okay, I'm going to give you a shot. And we're going to give you a shot." And so they hired me, and I went down to Los Angeles for their training, and of course got most improved. I went from 0 to, I graduated top, first of the class. Then I got rookie of the year, and then I got ranked nationally, and everything went really great up until I got cancer. And when I got cancer in my early 30s, it was kind of a shock. I went into the doctor to see, and next thing you know, it's 2-3 years in and out of hospitals. The doctors, I had surgeries. The doctor said it didn't look good. I probably should get my affairs in order. And it was a really, really rough time. Lost everything and went bankrupt from, thinking I had finally had world by the tail. Moved back to Arizona to live or die, literally into a 10 by 10 bedroom, from an 8,500 square foot house into a 10 by 10 bedroom in my parents' house, thinking, why me? And fortunately, I made it through that period of time, got out, and my mom, bless her heart, said, "You know what? Looks like you're going to live. Go to work."
Oh, I love it. Get you out of the nest. I love it.
Yeah. And so then I started looking around. I was in Scottsdale at that time. Now I'd moved from Seattle, and so I started looking around for a job, and nobody. I mean, they really, I had made pretty good money in the commercial department in real estate, and they just didn't have positions that paid that kind of money anymore. And then I ran into a guy, a residential real estate agent, who was making $1 million a year. And I'd never known anyone selling houses to make $1 million. This was many years, 25 years ago.
Right.
And, or longer, and 30 something years ago. And so I was intrigued, and so then I got into a residential real estate, learning how to do that. And stayed in that. I've been in residential real estate off and on for almost 40 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So you make the move from Seattle to Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So then in Scottsdale, you're looking for a job, right? Because mom says, "Hey, it's time to
Yeah.
go to work,"
Look,
right?
looks like you're going to make it.
Right? Yeah. So mom's pragmatic. I love that. So you go out and you find an agent that's making $1 million a year or over $1 million a year. Do you go to work with that agent?
I did eventually, not in the
Okay.
beginning. I was really too new. They wanted me to have a little bit more experience, so I sort of cut my teeth on my own working, and then I started working some of the deals with that agent. Really on the shorts, on the not very much, right? Just a little bit, enough to be able to learn that I wanted to be a solo agent and that I could do this, and I felt comfortable. I was more motivated by what he had done. I didn't like his lifestyle, however, because he was working 6, sometimes 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. He was never part of his phone. He was never apart from his phone. His kids used to throw his phone in the swimming pool or out the window of a car because they said, he was never present. You're here, but you're not present, that kind
Right.
of thing. He was always doing deals nonstop. When I played golf with him, I mean, we never got to talk or chat because he was on his phone nonstop. And it was just, I said, man, there's got to be a better way than that. But that's how I got into the residential real estate. I liked it. I enjoyed it. But I was really looking for some passive income. I can tell you, while I was in the hospital during the cancer phase,
Right.
the things that used to go through my mind were I want to be able to create an income that comes in without me having to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't know the term residual. I just knew the term passive. I wanted it passively coming in. I didn't care about rich or wealthy. I said, I want to make $100,000 a year. This is 25 years ago. I want to make $100,000 a year, passive income, so I could live full time, for whatever time that was left. And the doctors were telling me it might not be all that long, and that I should be prepared for it. And so I didn't want to go through like what I had gone through, financially before, completely destroyed. And I started, looking around for that. And I ran across in 1997, 96, 97, I ran across Keller Williams.
Mhm.
And I had a friend of mine that was with Keller. We'd gone to the Naval Academy together. He was a few years ahead of me, and he kept talking to me about this company I should take a look at. And I said, his name was Denny. I said, Denny, I really don't want to be in real estate full time. I want to, I don't want to be in it for a long time. I got to develop this passive thing. I kept thinking in the back of my mind. And he met with me once a month for a year, telling me how wonderful this company was and what it could do. And you were part of it. You'd make part of the decisions, and they were camaraderie. And he never talked to me about their passive income side ever. And finally, on the 12th month, because we were at the Naval Academy Alumni Association together. He was the president, and I think I was the treasurer back then. And so we had a lot of people there, powerful, important. John McCain was one of the members, and
Right.
and so it was a powerful group, and I did a lot of networking there within that group, and but he never talked about the profit sharing side. But once a month after the Alumni Association meetings, he would invite me to stay over and talk about this real estate company because he knew I was doing real estate, and he just feel he wanted to have me there. And he was trying to recruit me, of course, right? But he never really asked me what I wanted or where I wanted, and he never talked about anything I wanted, just what kind of he liked, which I learned, find out what other people want, and then help them
Right.
get what they want,
Right. Live and learn, right?
But on the 12th month, after the time, he said, if you can stay over, I got a couple of things. Sure. He says, listen, I want to open up an office from where you're from. And at that time, I was from Ahwatukee, Arizona, right?
Oh, I love it. Ahwatukee foothills, baby.
Ahwatukee foothills, yeah. And he said, would you do me a favor? I'm going to open an office there, but I don't know anybody. Would you put me together a list of agents, that have a nice factor that it would be good for me to talk to? I don't know anybody there. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to do that. So I put together a whole file on 75 people, actually, different agents that I knew. I put down what I knew of their goals.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.